Welcome to the Latino Business Report. It's the holidays. It's time for celebration, joy, and yes, shopping. But as the festivities ramp up, so does the crime. Theft, burglaries, car break-ins, stolen Christmas presents, and even robberies are on the rise this time of year. The holidays can be fun until they're not. In today's episode, we're joined by Austin Police Officer Vennessa Jimenez, an experienced law enforcement professional and proud Army veteran. Officer Jimenez is deeply committed to serving her community and helping to keep others safe. She will share practical tips and walk us through real-life scenarios to help stay vigilant, protect ourselves, and how to safeguard our property this holiday season. Stay tuned. This is an episode you won't want to miss.
Welcome to the Latino Business Report. This podcast covers business, people, and issues of the day from a Latino perspective. The Latino Business Report is brought to you by TAMAC, the Texas Association of Mexican American Chambers of Commerce. TAMAC is the leading Hispanic business organization in Texas since 1975. Now for your host, J.R. Gonzalez.
Happy holidays, listeners. Yes, it is almost Christmas, and what a great time of year it is. Everybody's out there having a good time, spending money, seeing family, friends, eating too much food, and overall just enjoying themselves until you're not. And what's the best way not to enjoy yourselves? Is when something stupid happens, like your car gets stolen, your gifts get robbed out of the back seat or the trunk, or you get ripped off at the ATM machine. All these things are happening. All these things are very real, and during this season, they happen more and more. So we're going to need to be careful about that. Be careful about your surroundings. Think about what you're doing, and make sure that you don't become a victim this holiday season. And to help us with that, we have Vennessa Jimenez. Police Officer Vennessa Jimenez with the Austin Police Department is here to give us a few tips of how to make sure we stay a little bit safer this holiday season and protect our property and don't do stupid things. Okay, I mean, just stupid. Sometimes some of these things are so easy, but we forget about them and we make stupid mistakes and they end up costing us a lot. So to talk about it, Vennessa Jimenez. Officer Jimenez, how are you today?
I'm doing good. Thank you for having me.
No, thank you for joining us. And you kind of heard what I said, and I'll admit, because I've done some pretty, I hate to use the word stupid, but there's common mistakes happen, and people sometimes don't think about it. And once you look at it in hindsight, you go, that was pretty dumb. But you've been a police officer for how long now, if I may ask?
11 years.
11 years. 11 years as a police officer, and I'm sure you've seen a lot of crazy things, especially this time of year. But before we get into that, I just want to, just for the edification, I love that word, edification, of our audience, you're a police officer, Austin Police Department. You're also the president of Amigos en Azul, which is the Hispanic Police Officers Association. Can you tell us a little bit about that before we get started?
Well, the Hispanic Officers Association, I have almost 400 members. That's a mixture of Hispanic officers and some that are just officers that are not Hispanic, but they're allies and they support us. And the organization started in 1982. And at the time, Hispanic officers needed to have a little more representation when it came to, promotion and things like that. So the organization became a way for advocating for those officers. And we still do advocacy in regards of certain things. We're sitting on the board of directors with our police union, and we kind of assist with with financial assistance as well when members are in need, along with community engagement. So what we do is that we have multiple events throughout the year where we try to kind of get a little bit of a connection with the community so they can see us more in a more positive light than just, in a traffic stop or getting, like on a 911 call, or when you have make a mistake and you got robbed or somebody stole your vehicle or your property or things like that. So we kind of have become the bridge between law enforcement, and the community. So that's what we do. We're kind of here trying to close that gap that we have and a little bit of that disconnect so that people can feel comfortable coming to us in a time of need. So we just wrapped up an event called Shop with the Cop that it was extremely successful, and we love
No,
it. And
yeah, that is like your crown jewel. I mean, it's amazing. You can you tell us about that shop with a cop? Because, um, correct me if I understand, you actually take children that have been identified by the school system that are in need, and they actually team up with a police officer and they go shopping, at I think this year was Target. But what's
yes,
amazing is that, they have an allowance of how much per child. How much does a child have to spend when they shop with a cop?
between 100 and 150 and $175.
Between
We tell the
150.
officers 150, but we know they always go a little bit over. But that's our little secret, so that they don't run
Okay.
out the tab.
And then and how many children do you take each year?
Well, this year we took 205 children. So
205. Wow. Okay. Times 150, $175. That adds up. That adds up. I've actually been to Shop with a Cop events in the past, and it is just a wonderful experience. Can you describe it for the listeners of not only what happens, but kind of important, how do you feel as a police officer and seeing the look on some of these kids' faces that were thinking they may have never had an opportunity to do something like this, or they're getting that gift for their, not only for themselves, but I also see them get gifts for their family members as well. And a lot of it isn't stuff that they necessarily want, but things that they actually need.
that's right. So, I mean, it fills us with joy, because the reason why we put on the badge is because of the kids and the community. We are here to serve them, and it breaks our hearts when we go to this 911 calls or in incidents where the police having to make an arrest in a place, and the children just look horrified when they see us. Right. So this event kind of changes that perspective for the kids, and allows us to connect with them one-on-one, so that they can meet us as not just the police officer, but the friend or the family member that is buying them gifts this holiday season, or necessities. Like you said, most of these kids are asking for shoes and jackets, and sometimes even groceries for their house. So we of course we try to get them to buy a gift, that we do help them out with their shopping list as well. And it's just an opportunity for us to be human, and
Yeah.
actually you can get that feeling of the holiday season.
And have a positive connection with the kids instead of, a work related responding to a call type interaction. And it just amazes me that in today's age and time, that there's still that need for, there's so much food insecurity where a lot of people just don't have the food or the money or the resources. And I'm just bless you guys for doing this program, Shopping with a Cop. And I know it comes with a lot of support, a lot of community volunteers, but it's something I think really makes a change in the attitude towards dealing with police officers. Um, you've been a police officer for about 11 years now, and in the program, have you seen some of these kids? You see some of the same families year after year, or some of them just kind of age out of the program, or do you do any type of tracking of these children to see how they're doing in school, or how this experience has maybe had a positive impact on their life?
So I since I've taken over the organization, now that's something that I'm looking forward to doing, kind of keeping track of some of these kids, almost like adopting them into uh, our shopping spree. Unfortunately, we don't have the same kids every year. One, because we want to give the opportunity to other children to also participate. But I know that in the past there had been kids that have been referred twice by a sponsor in particular, and we have taken them more than once. But the majority of the kids are first timers because of that, just because there's so many schools in the school district, and there's so many people in need, that we're trying to make it fair so that everybody gets a chance to experience this.
What age group do you do it, Officer
We
Jimenez?
do it's from third, fourth, and fifth grade.
Okay. So somebody like me, you probably wouldn't take along with you to go. I couldn't go shop with a cop, and you couldn't buy me $175 worth of stuff.
No, I mean, I think you have aged out a little bit,
Okay.
just a tiny bit.
I've
But,
aged out of the.
and sometimes,
And
I mean, other years we had younger kids. Sometimes the
okay.
schools get the memo mixed up, and they bring us a lot younger kids. But we preferred kiddos that are in that age group, so that they can actually talk to us and engage with us, and we can engage back with them, because unfortunately, when kids are younger, they're a little bit more timid, and they're not as likely to want to talk and tell us everything about their lives, because they're just very shy.
And has it been your experience that a lot of these children, as they're shopping, even though they know they can shop for themselves, a lot of times they are shopping for their siblings or their mother or their dad because they just realize that there's not that much in the household or not much for Christmas gifts to go around.
Oh, 100%. I think there's every child that participates in this does that. And many of, I mean, they just, the first thing they say, hey, can I get this for my mom? Can I get this for my uncle? And we're talking about they want to get, oh, my mom works really early in the mornings, and I want her to get something for her coffee. Or I want to get a scarf for my aunt and my brother and all the people. I mean, they're just so giving themselves, and they just think, wow, $150, I can buy everything for everybody. So a lot of the times the kids do go past the 150, and the officers that are with them end up picking up that tab, because they're just like, yes, just yes, they just cannot say no, right?
Hard to say no. It's hard to say
it,
no.
it is hard, especially when you see and you hear the things that they're telling us of how much need there is. With this past Friday, and in day one of Shop at the Cop, we had a child who had no Christmas tree. And as they're finishing up with the event, they were like, oh, you're happy to put your Christmas gifts now under the tree? And she goes, we don't have a tree. So what
Oh,
happened? We had to go back. They had to go back, went back, bought a
got a
Christmas tree,
tree.
got it delivered, and got a picture back from them with the Christmas tree now. So now she had a Christmas tree. So those are the type of stories that I'm talking about. Like, it's just everybody thinks that everyone has that chance to have a Christmas tree and go shopping and buy things, and not everybody does. That is the reality, and that's why Shop at the Cop is such an impactful and so great for us to do.
And that is important. So many of us take for granted. We're very fortunate, very blessed to have things in life where something as simple as having a tree is just, you don't even give it a second thought. But having a tree and actual presence under the tree, there's so many families that don't even have that. So thank you for what you do. Vanessa, you said that since you've taken over the program, Amigos en Azul, and if memory serves me correctly, you are the first female president of this organization. Is that correct?
That is correct. That's what everybody's told me so far. So I'm very very proud to have the opportunity to be the first and to lead this organization. And I'm just so excited to see what the future has set out for us. I know that the communities, it's showing a lot of support, and it's just amazing. It's amazing to know that the community is taking us so well, and I know that we're going to do great things together.
I'm sure you are, and under your leadership, and even though I haven't known you that long, I've been watching, and in the short time we've known each other, I've really, really been impressed with what you do. And for the edification of the listeners here, I actually met Vanessa through TAMAC, who sponsors this program, the Texas Association of Mexican American Chambers of Commerce, through our Women of Distinction. Every year, the TAMAC puts out a call, and we get just tons of applications of outstanding women, outstanding Latinas across the state of Texas. And Officer Jimenez's application came through. A friend of hers put it in for her. And as we read the application, we're very impressed with some of the stuff that you're doing as a police officer, a single mom, from what I understand as well, and a veteran. You served in what? The United States Army?
I was in the United States Army. I did 8 years of active duty. I had two tours to Iraq, one for a year, one for 15 months, and then a tour to South Korea as well.
And then you're also a single mom.
That's right. I have a 14-year-old that it's a freshman in high school now. So
You're a full-time police officer, and you volunteer to head up a 400 member organization, Amigos en Azul.
that's right.
Wow. Okay. Okay. For those of you that think, oh, I'm doing my fair share, no. Once you meet Officer Jimenez, you're not doing your fair share. I mean, there's so much more you can do. But let's get into it now a little bit. Um, Officer Jimenez, what are some of the common mistakes people make during the holiday seasons that can be avoided to save them a lot of heartache and probably a lot of money, or having to go out and respend a lot of money because they just made a silly mistake?
Well, I think the biggest mistake is that they do not prioritize their shopping. What does that mean? prioritize your shopping means that you're gonna say, hey, I'm gonna go shopping for this type of items and this type of items, right? So with that, that means that if you're gonna go and buy an expensive item, put that at the very end. And then once you get that item, you go home. Why? Because if you go and buy a major TV or an electronic that is expensive, then you leave it in your vehicle. And then you go to the mall, and then you're at the mall for who knows how many hours shopping. Then you come back to your vehicle and somebody broke into it and now took all the high value items that you went shopping earlier. So to prevent that, we tell people, hey, if you're gonna go buy certain items that are expensive, just go buy those last and then go straight home from there. Not saying that every vehicle is going to get broken into it, but during the holiday, especially when we go to the mall, there's so many vehicles out there. You've seen the traffic that has gotten just as the holiday season came, that we are a higher target. And then when we leave things in our backseat thinking, oh, I don't have room in the trunk because I bought a big TV, let me put it in the backseat. Now somebody's coming in and breaking your window to get those items. And they're like, oh, look, I found I hit the lottery. They also have this in the trunk. So it's
Yeah.
just opportunistic. That's what criminals do. They're just looking to see, hey, this person just got out the car. Hey, I have plenty of time, right? So just kind of make sure that you are aware of your surrounding, where you park your vehicle as well. Trying to not park it in the furthest spot in the parking lot. If you're going in the evening or you're gonna go in that area when it's gonna get late, try to park by a light, so that there's some visibility, because the darker it is, the more likely that your vehicle will be targeted. So those are the most basic things that I can say to people. Do not leave
Yeah.
things in the backseat, lock your vehicle, prioritize your shopping.
So are you saying it's better to put your items in the trunk instead of
It
the
is
back
better.
seat? And even,
100%.
and even though just about every late model car has an alarm system, I mean, if the alarm goes off, I mean, it's no big deal. I mean, it may catch some attention, but that's not going to stop that smash and grab.
Oh no, and it's so fast. It is so fast. Years ago, we had one group of people that were here from Houston. They literally were here. There's a organized group that was just doing that nonstop at night, and they would come target that area that was dark. And we caught them because we kind of set up to do this because it was happening so much, and they were literally breaking into 4 or 5 vehicles within 2 minutes. That's how quick they were. And they had to get away vehicle. So they will break in the car.
Was
Get
this at a shopping area or in a residential area?
It was in our residential area
Oh,
when
wow.
Rainy Street was a little more residential, that kind of like the back portion of that.
Okay. All right. Now, and I'm just curious with the Texas gun laws as liberal as they are, a lot of people keep guns in their vehicles. So I imagine with some of those break-ins, that's a whole nother headache for the police department of
Oh
stolen
yeah.
guns.
100%, 100%, because people know that you're not supposed to go places with your gun, so they're like, I'm gonna leave it in my vehicle. Well, you left the gun in the vehicle. Now they've stole all your holiday gifts, and now they stole your gun, and now there's a gun out in the street. Right, and a lot of times people don't have their serial number, so there's no way for us to sometimes even return it when we find firearms other places, because there's nobody. They never reported it, or they didn't even have their information to report it. They just know, oh, it was a black gun. I bought it years ago. So
It was a black 9 millimeter, it's kind of
yes,
like, let's narrow it down. And well, that's another good tip there. I mean, if you are a gun owner, a responsible gun owner, I hope that you at least have a record of the serial numbers of your weapons because, um, yeah, if heaven forbid, it gets stolen and it ends up someplace, or if it ends up involved in a crime scene or a situation, somebody's gonna be knocking on your door going, "Hey, your gun was used in a crime." So it's always smart to do that. And of course, if somebody does have a gun stolen, report it immediately.
that's right. That is key, 100%. If we have a lot of people coming for the holiday too that stayed at hotels and they leave their guns at the hotel once they check out. That happens a lot in the downtown area. And many times people already flew back to their state, right? Or their city. They're like, oh, well, I don't want to go back for it. So
Hmm.
we're now we're here with a gun that like that somebody could have just, I mean, thankfully most hotels they're like they're reported to us. But if somebody was to go there and find it and they want to keep it, then they'll just keep it and they won't tell us, right? Because the owner never reported it. So a lot of these reports come from the businesses that find this firearm. So that's just like you said, if you have a firearm and it gets stolen or you misplaced it because you went somewhere, make sure that you call and report it right away so that we can have that and be on the lookout for that so that we know if some kind of crime occurs in the city that you reported that.
Makes sense. When we're talking about, okay, we're talking about car vehicles, or automobiles. How about your home? What can you do? I mean, I know a common thing, especially after Christmas, people will get these cool little high dollar ticket items, and they put that empty box on trash day by the curb, which is to me is just like advertising to criminals out there. Ooh, look what I have here in my house now.
Exactly. It's exactly what that is. That is, hey, look what I got. And criminals do drive around neighborhoods looking to see, okay, this area looks like people are putting a lot of these boxes out, right? So biggest thing, get the box, cut it up, and put it in pieces in the trash can, or don't put it out like that, or fold it in a way that it's not advertising that you have brand new items, because then it does make you more prone to maybe a burglary. So once again, we don't want that to happen. And so if you can just wait and put it out in pieces, that will be best. And that way that you're not advertising to the world that you have all these great things in your house.
Yeah. And for the most part, I mean, a lot of these criminals, these burglars, they're looking for easy targets. So if the place is not well lit, there's all kinds of things you can do. And let me ask you this question: Have these door cams or these little doorbell cameras really helped in deterring crime, or are they
I
not?
mean, they help sometimes they help. They're really good cameras to maybe get a glimpse on the face, because the reality is that they're not coming to take these things during the day. They come at night, right? So what happens with those cameras, they go gray, right? So
Hmm.
then if somebody's moving fast, they're not gonna snatch like the perfect silhouette of their face. It's more like the average body, or like kind of like a random face,
I see.
like side profile or back of the head. So
It's not like television. Though a little snap. Let's run that through facial recognition, and
right, I wish
within
we had
five
facial
seconds,
recognition.
there's a person and their whole, where they went to school and who they dated and who their friends are and everything else. Um, okay, television reality. Okay, but it is a deterrent, I would imagine, for some criminals to know that the place is
That they will not take their sweet time when they see that that's there. So that's the thing. If you have one of those, they'll be like, okay, they have a one of those cameras. So they'll try to go around that, not the front, right? They'll go to the back or to the
right.
side. So they'll be a little more careful than just kind of like, oh, they have nothing. Just go here. It's kind of like if you go to a place that has no lighting, it's more likely that they will take their sweet time, walk in there, look at the whole area, and just go very slowly. Whether versus somebody who has a very bright lit area and there's cameras and things like that, they will move way faster if they really want to go there. And so just remember that it does help. It doesn't stop it, but it can deter it.
Yeah. And I mean, there's so many convenient ways to have stuff delivered to your home. I mean, to me, it's like America's getting lazy when it comes to shopping, but that also promotes the porch pirates and people going to your porch and getting those deliveries and just walking off with them. What can a person do to help prevent some of that?
So for those are very, very, very popular. So with that, what I recommend, and this is just a personal thing because where I'm at, my neighbor gave me this great idea actually. He had like a trash can, like with a lock, kind of like a trash can type of setup, and he put it for Amazon
Hmm.
packages. So what that does is that now they can leave the cameras, they can leave the packages in there. It's like this, like kind of like a mailbox, like kind of when you go to the mailbox and drop it off, like the big
Right.
one, kind of something like that. Or you can also set it up to get delivered at certain times. Maybe talk to your neighbor and say, "Hey neighbor," my neighbor next door, same thing. She was like, "Hey, I'm gonna be out of town. Do you mind checking for my packages when they get delivered, putting them inside like she has like a big gate. She's like, can you put them inside the gate or put them in your
Okay.
house?"
Or
Because the
some people,
more packages that you have, they're more likely they're like, huh, I went by that house twice. There's still packages there. I'm gonna take them.
or some people will even leave what their garage code with the delivery service, and they can open up the garage and leave the package inside the garage and shut the garage afterwards, which makes sense. But I don't know if I want strangers walking all through my garage. Um, but when you said neighbors, and I think it's an important thing. I mean, back in the old days, I mean, there was neighborhood watch, and I know there's still neighborhood watch again. I mean, there's still neighborhood watch programs out there, but it really pays to get to know your neighbors and to watch out for each other, especially during the holiday season when you're out of town and things are being delivered. What is your recommendation for that?
Well, I do think, especially nowadays, people are moving to the city, right? There's a lot of new people in every neighborhood. I feel like there's always new people, right? People moving in or moving out. And I think that the best thing to do is, given that great Texas, welcoming. Hey, hi, I'm your neighbor. This is my phone number. Kind of get to know each other, talk to them, wave at each other, and all of that will help you get to know them, and you know that you can trust them when you leave town, or you need something, like I said, check on your packages, maybe check on your pets. It's very important, and that's just all across the board. Like, that's a lot of the reports that we get is the neighborhood, somebody breaking into vehicles. So people on those next door apps, like those are very popular now, that sometimes people just use them to just complain. But if people really want to know each other, they'll
Mhm.
pay attention to who their next door or across the street neighbor is, and that will go a long ways to preventing crime.
So get to know your neighbors, be vigilant, be on the lookout. And I know my neighbor across the street, they're retired teacher. I feel like I'm living in on Morning Glory Circle and Bewitched, like the Mrs. Kravitz that knows everything. She's always looking through those binoculars, seeing everything that's going on. Right. I'm not saying my neighbors look through my window with binoculars, but they usually know my comings and goings pretty well. So it's nice to have neighbors that watch out for each other because it is important, and especially in today's age of people just taking stuff off your porch and the crime that's going out there. I mean, the city's growing, and crime is an issue and always has been. It's probably going to get worse before it gets better. But at the same respect, I think people cause themselves to be victims because they don't take the proper precautions. Um, Anything else? Did we talk? I don't think we talked about ATMs. What can people do at ATMs to make sure that they do not get?
Well, similar to when you go shopping, if you are going to the ATM, especially for a lot of money, even if it's not a lot of money. So if you are going to the ATM, I think it's the best thing to bring somebody with you. Pick an ATM that is very lit if you're going in the evenings. If not, go during the day, like when it's bright and sunny.
Or an ATM inside of a store, maybe?
Yeah,
Yeah.
maybe that's right. Yeah, like the ATMs that are inside the store. But I know a lot of people are like, well, that's a higher fee or things like that. But if you are
Yeah.
going to once by the bank, make sure that you go with somebody. Make that somebody comes with you. Keep an eye on you. Check your surroundings. Check around a little bit before you start putting your coats and turn around, so that when you are distracted trying to get your information in the system, and somebody doesn't come from behind you and makes you, get more money than what you were wanting to do, or take the money that you just took out. So, and don't leave your vehicle unlocked either when you are going to the ATM. That's so common.
How many times have you responded to somebody that's had their car broken into that or stolen that you realize they didn't lock the car or they left the keys in it? Is that a
That's
pretty common?
that's very common. Like, it's getting more common now with all the new feet, the key fobs, the new models. Not as much when I first started 11 years ago, but now it's almost every vehicle has that feature, right? That you touch it and it unlocks it. So people, we get out of vehicles, and I'm not gonna say that I haven't done it. We get out of vehicles and we're like, "Oh, my key's in my pocket." Well, no, your key wasn't in your pocket. It was in the center console for some reason, or in your purse for somebody, or in certain other item that you were carrying, and now your vehicle has the keys to your vehicle, and somebody decided to take it while you went in the ATM, or even to get something to drink at the gas station. So just be mindful that when we get in and out of the vehicle, make sure you're locking your car, even if it's going to be real quick, like just 5 minutes, 2 minutes. Somebody
It
could be.
yeah, it doesn't take long to steal a car. It doesn't take long at all, or to just get in there and take if you leave something valuable on the front seat or right there in the back seat. Yeah, it's a crazy time of year, and crime is out there. It's reality, but I think sometimes people make themselves victims. How do they not make themselves a victim? Is there any tips you have for that?
I mean, I think the biggest thing is that be aware of your surroundings. That's key. Be aware of your surroundings. Cell phones and headphones and things like that kind of makes us sometimes be too much into technology and not around our surroundings. So make sure that you pay attention when you get out of your vehicle. You're not on your phone texting somebody or answering a phone call or trying to finish up work as you're walking, because that's now you're not aware of what's going on around you. You're focused on your phone or answering that call or listening to music. Be aware where you're parking your vehicle and the things that you're leaving out in your vehicle. Try not to leave as little as possible to the naked eye. Like if I look through your window and I could see cables in your center console, I might just want to go in there. Right? Like that's just
See what the yeah, see
like
what
that.
see what those cables go to.
That's
Uh,
right.
it makes sense, and I feel bad for him. I have a friend who lives in Houston, Pobrecito. He was texting on his phone, crossing the street, not paying attention, and got ran over.
Oh no.
He was hospitalized for a long time, and we now have him. We gave him the nickname Speed Bump. He doesn't appreciate that, but
Mm.
it's like, I mean, crossing the street. I mean, other pedestrians were crossing, but he wasn't paying attention. So I think you're absolutely right. I mean, you become a victim when you're not thinking. Be aware of your surroundings. Make sure you're smart. Take your keys, lock your car. Don't put high value empty packages by the garbage can to advertise what you have. Watch out for each other as neighbors and just use some common sense. And for those who listen to my show pretty regularly, goes, I always say common sense is not that common. But in this case, especially the holiday season, please, folks, try to exercise a little bit of common sense and don't become a victim and enjoy the holidays and do not get to a point where this all comes crumbling down because you just lost everything. There's a lot of people out there, as Officer Jimenez was talking about, that truly don't have food security, where they don't have the money, they don't have the wherewithal to provide a nice holiday for themselves or their families. But there's so many of us that are very fortunate, very blessed out there that do. Let's be smart. Let's not become a victim, and if at all possible, let's contribute to organizations like Amigos en Azul that are out there working with the community on a regular basis and trying to improve things for the greater good. Officer Menace, we're just about out of time. Was there any words of wisdom that you would like to leave with the audience about policing or any other subject?
Well, I think the biggest thing is that don't forget that the reason why we do this is to keep everyone safe. We might not all agree at all times, right? Just like many families, but we are part of the family. We are trying to look out for each other. That's what we're trying to do. And um just just think of that. Think about that and just take care of one another and remember that we're here to serve you and we're here to support you and everywhere that we can. And we, as much as much as people is like the law enforce on them, somebody has to do it. And just we ask that you help us with your support and understanding that we're just here to try to make the city a better place.
Absolutely, and thank you for that. And I definitely always don't agree with the police, especially the times when they pull me over. But that's another issue. Usually, it's my fault. But where would this country be without you guys? I mean, you're the thin blue line out there providing protection and resources and trying to help the community. And even though things go south every now and then, for the most part, I really, really appreciate the job that you do. Thank you, and bless you, everyone in blue, all law enforcement, all first responders for what they do because their job is so, so very important. Ladies and gentlemen, you've been listening to the Latino Business Report. I'm your host, J.R. Gonzalez. You can find more of the Latino Business Report at latinobusinessreport.com, where you can find out more about the show and also find an entire library of all of our episodes. You can also find us on YouTube under the same name. With that said, guys, have a happy holiday. Be safe. Don't become a victim. Enjoy the time with your friends and family. And let's look forward to a very productive and positive new year going into 2025.